Hello, I'm Christopher Luna, and welcome to Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. I'd like to say hello to my co-host and friend Morgan Paige. She'll be helping with MC duties tonight. Just a few things to let you know before we get started. Our featured reader tonight is Shawn Aveningo-Sanders. She is a poet and publisher of the Poetry Box and the Poeming Pigeon series, and the author of a book called What She Was Wearing. And so we'll be hearing from Shawn later on for an extended set. And we've got about 15 open mic readers. We'll hear about a little less than half of that number before we hear from Shawn, and then the rest of the open mic after that. The Zoom room is a strange place. It's not the same as being in person, but one of the cool things about being here via Zoom is we've got people from all over the country. We've got New Jersey is here, Minnesota. There are folks from Salem and the Oregon coast and Colorado. And then those are the people I was able to talk to before the reading started. I'm sure we'll have people from other parts of this great nation as well. And that's the exciting thing about doing this virtually. One of the things that's really strange about doing this on Zoom is that, you know, people will read and really dynamically and well, and then there's like this deadly silence afterwards. That's hard. That's hard for readers and performers. So we're encouraging people to unmute themselves after a person reads and hoot and holler and applaud or whatever you feel is appropriate. And of course you have the chat function if you'd like to, you know, congratulate somebody. The chat function is also there to include links to things that are poetry related and community related that you want to share with folks here. And one thing I want to tell you about that chat function is you may want to share the link to your book or whatever it is you're sharing with us more than once during the evening, because you'll notice that after a while, there'll be a lot of messages in the chat. So don't be shy about putting that link in there more than once. What else do I want to mention? Oh, so when someone's reading, we do ask people to mute themselves, and you can toggle between the speaker view and the grid view. The speaker view will allow you to see only the person who is reading at the moment and no one else. So if that's helpful to you to have, you know, a full screen experience with the person whose turn it is, then that's what you want to do. Use that speaker view. Welcome to the folks that are just coming in now. And if you have a question, you can send a question in the chat to Morgan and I, but you want to be patient because we're also, you know, running the show. And it looks like there's a message there from Shawn with some information about how you can order her books, and there's a special discount if you buy her book this evening. So thank you for doing that, Shawn. That's really cool. All right. So do you think I forgot anything, Morgan? Is there anything it always feels like there's so many things to say, but I don't know. Did I forget anything?
No, you're a professional, and I think you covered it all. You know, normally we would say, you know, don't fall down the stairs if you're planning on going to the bathroom behind us. But you know what? That's, you know, last year. But yeah, I think you covered it. Excited to see everybody. Excited to hear from Shawn and all of our readers. So.
Okay, so I'm looking at the folks that we have here, and it looks like the first person I have on my list, actually, it's looking like the first three people I have on my list are not here yet. Oh, but there's one of them coming in. This is not going to be as exciting on the YouTubes, this first few minutes of the reading, but it's going to get exciting really quick here, folks. Don't worry.
I think it's already exciting. I don't know.
Thanks, Morgan. I appreciate that. That helps. All right, so Edith will probably be, I'm giving Edith a heads up. Edith, you will probably be first because I'm not seeing Matthew. So Matthew Brower, who's a good poet, was supposed to be first, but I don't see him here yet. So we can come back to Matthew. But Edith, we can't see or hear you yet. Are you ready to read something to the good Ghost Town poetry community?
Hello, Chris. Could you please give me a few minutes, please? Maybe going next. Is that okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we sure can. Yeah, we rolled the punches here, and this happens in person too, so it's just the same deal. So here's what we're going to do, Morgan. We're going to start with the three people on your list. I know that at least two of them are here, two of the three. I don't know why we have so many latecomers tonight, but So if you want to introduce the first person you have on your list, we'll do the best we can with those three, and then we'll try to go back to the top, okay?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm looking out here, and yes, I do see Joanne Boswell. Joanne, are you ready to read a poem for us? If you can hear us. I can see her name,
Hi.
but I can't. Oh, there she is. Yay. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Welcome.
Hi.
Surprise,
Sorry,
you're first.
I was in the bathroom. The joys of being at home. I didn't expect to be first.
Thanks for being flexible. We'd love to hear a piece from you if you have one ready. Right on.
Okay, so I wrote this poem a couple weeks ago on vacation, and I was thinking about an NPR piece that I listened to on This American Life, and it was about this woman who confessed to her friend that she doesn't ever, it's like her deepest, darkest secret, that she doesn't ever introspect. Like, she never follows rabbit trails in her mind. She just only thinks about what is directly in front of her. And it's just an unfathomable thing for me because my mind never stops. So this is introspection. 1, it's kind of nice to have space for the world around me. Inside, so vacant, wide open windows, a beachfront home with no clutter, just a chair on the deck overlooking the Pacific. Take it all in, no boundaries or shells, just this, whatever it is, only and always what's in sight. A seagull, not leading me to other bird thoughts or moments of seagulls past, just this one seagull, so fully it fills my present. I noticed its webbing, the tilt of its head, northeast, then northwest. And when it flies off, as they always do, it will be gone forever. My mind now quickly wrapped around a new image. That wave cresting, those lovers embracing, these sand dollars lined so tidy, creating a deck ledge so beach chic. Someone must have been careful, spacing them with ruler and margarita, but I don't think of them or wonder how long they've surf bathed here. I am blissfully vacant, alive in my now, welcoming each and everything. They get all of me. And then absolutely nothing when the next wave sighs, breathless with my attention. 2, that was a myth I once heard on NPR, Truth or Dare confessional. A woman's friend doesn't introspect, ever. Grocery shopping is just feeling a peach, then buying it, then eating it. I hit the rewind 15-second button at least a dozen times, distracted by a curving cloud reminding me of popcorn. So I ponder dinner and open an app, adding ingredients we'll need for beach tacos. But now I've missed another few seconds of This American Life. My inner world is too loud for just this cold brew and a book on a deck with a quilt, waves roaring so very close. I'm drawn to work on this poem I started last month when I first heard this stuttering podcast I still can't comprehend. 3, I've always been a whirler, and I am here rattling lists and queries down a quenchless gullet, critic, inquisitor, ceaseless, my brain efficient, frantic monologuer, inner storyteller caffeinated. There's no time I'm not time traveling. Past, future, slant word, the thoughts lead, and I am a puppy, following, frolicking. The sand has so many paths, and I wonder what shape is the creature who made these prints, and what were they pondering? Or were they empty, minding their eternal now? Thank you.
That's great.
That's lovely.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Nice job, Joanne. That was beautiful.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I was just typing in the comment box that like how much I feel you. I can relate with that poem so much. So thank you so much for sharing. And It's normal. It's normal to have it all going on inside, okay? And this is how we process poetry. Next, we'd love to hear from Bruce Hall. I do see Brian Franco on my list, but I don't see him in the room. So I'm going to jump ahead now to Bruce.
Here, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Bruce Hall, you are up. Welcome to Ghost Town, and thanks for being here.
Yeah. This is a first for me. I actually did a cross-out poem from an article in the paper. Volatility looming. A year of slumber. Volatility to come roaring back to life. Banks recommending cheap protection. Been muffled by a barrage of liquidity. Banks start telegraphing an end to all stimulus. Traders caught off guard, liberate their positions, the stage for sudden jolts, ready and willing to pull the trigger. Many false dawns point to significant shift. Started accelerating, economies open, currencies are sensitive to change, scouring for any clues might tip the balance. More hawkish than expected. Severe taper surprises. A plethora of minefields. Snapping up volatility. Picture or capture all events. Volatility is too cheap. Bounce in global growth. Premium on the tenors. Shown by the spread. Aren't overpriced. Ask not to be identified, authorized to speak publicly. Volatility, dollar yen, and dollar Swiss franc, crosses, group of 10. Beautiful liquidity is like a drug. Price action, less sensitive. Toronto Dominion, remain cautious. Fire and forget, foolproof idea. First-time traders missed Fed tapering, short-lived rebound, volatility that faded, played down the prospect, in for a shakeup. Investors a little bit worried, scared. Picture will change.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Mhm.
And next we're going to hear from Edith. If Edith is ready, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you so much again. I'm sorry for the troubles. I didn't know.
That's okay. We're glad to have you back.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here too. Well, this is a new poem. It's kind of a draft, so please bear with me. Hope you like this one. This is called Beneath You. And let me know if you can hear the music, so we can, and you can hear my voice as well.
Yes, I can hear both, Edith.
Thank you so much. So we'll start. Can I kiss you? Can I kiss you? Can I kiss you? 'Cause life doesn't taste like you anymore. Since I saw you descend into soil, you were already mute, and so was I. I wonder if you feel the lump in my throat, how much life weighs on my neck, now that the roots strangle yours until they discovered there's no voice left in you. No more. My dear, mi amor, I wonder if you feel the storm in my eyes every time I smell your pajamas clinging to your immortal scent that is mortal now. Almost almost banished by my insistent no's, almost diluted by my constant crying. Like you, in the memories of my senses, almost left alone. I don't know, but do you feel my tears? Can you feel them? Do you notice how my smile erodes every time I picture you at my door? And it's just, you're not there. Just my mind. All for the damn desire to hold you, to exchange nostalgia for despair. Because yes, I want something more than just my imagination. I want you to breathe 97% oxygen. I want your heart to 80 beats per minute. Your skin at 97 Fahrenheit degrees or hotter when we are making love. I want to hear your sight in reverse, devouring even my own breath when kissing me. Those mornings when we used to wake up. I want you here and now. I love you here with us. You may not know, but sometimes I wonder if you feel my loneliness, the one that is incurred with diazepam or Valium. No, can you feel it? Can you? Because your body is in between insect and clay soil, but your essence flows between my dreams and your mothers or dogs, your best friend from high school, a realm where I'm not welcome yet. Can you feel me? Can you feel this? Or are these dreams a torture from my subconscious? I don't know where you are right now. It could be, I don't know. I want to believe these dreams aren't just a torture, right? Oh, my love, mi amor, mi vida. So many questions and no answers. Ni siquiera una sola. I don't know where you are, but you are mute. And so am I. You are now on the ground, and I'm beneath you while I live. While I live. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edith.
Very powerful.
Awesome.
So we did have to change the order of things a little bit here, but I just want to make sure that our featured reader has a heads up. We're going to hear from one more open mic reader before we introduce our featured reader for this evening, and that is going to be Matthew Brower. So Matthew, if you're ready, we'd love to hear one of your poems. I'm glad that you were able to make it.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for dropping on late. It's always cheesy to come in at the end of an open mic. But,
well, we forgive all in the Zoom room, so we'll just pretend that didn't happen. And yeah, I think that you're all going to enjoy Matthew. He's really good at what he does. So I'm glad you made it, Matthew. Just go for it and have a good time.
Cool. Okay, scrambling for a poem here, but I got one. I'm down in Mexico right now. I live down here in a cool town, San Miguel de Allende, and it is really parched and drought for a long, long time, but we've just started having a good rainy season commence. And I'll take partial credit for it based on this rain poem that I wrote. And the day I wrote it, it started to rain. So you can deduce from that what you want, but here we go. O holy mountain, keeper of the hidden gravities that pull upon the earth, raise up your arms and resurrect the waters from the calcified seas, storehouse of fisheries and innumerable unseen gallons. Draw out the salty spittle and make it fresh again, and send it here on the wings of liberating storms. The trees are thirsty, the land is barren and thirsty for your saturating alms, for the excesses of your flash floods. We want to be unyoked from the despotism of an unchecked sun, so we pray to Chak, to Indra, to Poseidon, and to Oya, to the old Toltec gods, whichever of them was the one who first brought the prehistoric floods. The trees and the cacti in the afternoon heat stand there like the indifferent old men, the ones who've endured the decrepit repetitions of life and so become habituated to their suffering. But we are the young, who still believe in the certainty of eventual justice, who still long for the flowering of knotted buds and the moistures of our prenuptial sexualities. We're the ones who know a desert is a misnomer, that even the most barren of Saharas, within the burrows and cracks where the sun cannot pry its blistering hands, there secretes life. We know the inevitability of it. The day the sky opens like one of the old dusty psalters and the orchestral rains begin to fall, like the initial blast of the pipe organs of one of our empty Baroque cathedrals. So really, we're not asking for the rain, we're just asking to not have to wait any longer, for the commencement of the drenching parade that does not follow street signs or preset parade routes, but instead consumes the entire metropolis and its surrounding territories. With its sweltering ornamental floats and loud rattling marching bands dominated by bass drums and snares. We promise to be the first revelers and the first to drink from the rejuvenated springs, the first to go visit the shrines of desert flowers, and the first to bathe naked in the humid air. We know this is not the province of rational processes or the articulation of well-rehearsed mathematical formulae, and so we submit our incantations and our divinations. May our words be like the bubbles popping that excite the drowsy gods' ears. May they swing their arms and grow the gigantic clouds as the holders of menacing yet benevolent monstrosities. May the countryside grow quiet in anticipation. May the quick slithering wind with its throat full of dust be the first harbinger of it. May we greet it with jubilation and the same comprehension of significance as our malnourished aquifers. May we open up our mouths to receive the first salvo of drops. May we accept the succor and the balm regardless of our worthiness or unworthiness of it. May the quenching salve come soon.
Thank you, Matthew.
Wow.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Matthew. And is there anywhere we could find your work? Are you sharing online anywhere, or?
You can go to my website, Matthew Brower Poet, and I've also got a Facebook page. And I'm excited to get back home because I'm going to start recording some poetry. So there should be some more posting of stuff soon.
Right on. Yeah, a link in the chat would be amazing for all of us who would like to follow that link and go find you on through the interwebs. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for being here. And next, I have the great pleasure of introducing Shawn Aveningo-Sanders, and I am so excited. Shawn grew up in Missouri, and after a bit of globetrotting, finally landed in Portland, Oregon. Her recent chapbook, What She Was Wearing, tells her Me Too story that took 30 years to reveal. Shawn's work has appeared worldwide in over 150 literary journals and anthologies, including Calyx, Amsterdam Quarterly, American Journal of Poetry, Timberline Review, and Poets Reading the News. She is a Pushcart nominee, Best of the Net nominee, and co-founder of the Poetry Box Press, as well as managing editor for the Poeming Pigeon. Shawn is a proud mother of 3 and shares the creative life with her husband, Robert. So very pleased to announce you, Shawn. Thank you so much and welcome.
Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank Christopher and Tony and Morgan for building this wonderful community, for inviting me to read, and for giving me and keeping this series going throughout these crazy COVID days. It's been a true gift for all of us that you've kept this thing going. That's been wonderful. So about 1.5 years ago, I wrote a deeply, deeply personal chapbook, What She Was Wearing. And like Morgan said, it tells my Me Too story about being raped at a college toga party. And I kept that secret for decades. When the book came out, it was important for me to have a male perspective of the work, and Christopher was kind enough to write an encouraging blurb. So thank you for that, Chris. It really meant a lot to me. So tonight I will be reading a few poems from that collection, but I'll also be reading some other pieces, pretty much taking us all on a roller coaster of topics and emotions, because that's just how I roll. The title of my book, What She Was Wearing, And that phrase comes up several times throughout the collection because it's that classic victim blaming question that always comes up. So I'll start off by answering that question now. What I was wearing. Pink sheet twisted into a toga over a white one-piece swimsuit. Pink chiffon bow in my hair. Nana's rhinestone dangly earrings. Pink lace fingerless gloves. Silver glittery sandals. A spritz of Giorgio. Frosted mulberry lipstick. And a big smile. This is what I wore to the party. And then I woke up to a strap falling off one shoulder, the other strap cut, revealing my breast. A drop of blood where the knife nicked my flesh, the crotch of my swimsuit sliced in half. Spilled beer, stained sheet, the scent of cheap cologne. 4 sets of fingerprints. This is what I wore running home. So in the immediate aftermath, I had to decide. This one's called To Call or Not Call the Police. That is a monumental decision for this young woman whose lips have kissed bottles of Boone's Farm and Budweiser, ever clear of the laws she was breaking, partying and partaking before reaching legal age on this side of the state line. In the show me state where girls are taught to play hard to get and boys will be boys, how do you prove to the good old boys in blue that you're not the one to blame? You're not a slut, and you definitely did not ask for it. The guilt of not reporting the crime, the shame of the rape itself can take you down, especially if you're too ashamed to get help. And this next piece is called How to Survive Suicide. Don't leave a note. Your final plea for help may bring unwanted advice. Make a mixtape, AKA playlist. Let your favorite songs be your final lullaby. Be frugal. Buy the generic sleeping pills. Believe the compare to claims on the label. And speaking of labels, well, you can ignore those dosing instructions. Indulge. Gluttony is a mere second-rate sin. Wash the pills down with a yoo-hoo. No need to count calories now. Double check the deadbolt. Laugh at the irony of that particular oxymoron. Turn out the lights. Snuggle under grandmother's quilt. Whisper apologies until you're fast asleep. Wake up 35 hours later and wonder if anyone noticed you were gone. Obviously, I did survive, but kept the rape a secret for years and years. I couldn't even tell my best friend. I eventually told my parents and my ex-husband and my children, a few close friends. But what helped me get through this the most, I think, was writing about it from a variety of perspectives over the years. And somehow putting it to the page helped me gain control instead of it controlling me. So I want to share the last poem that's in the book. There will be days. There will be days a trigger will transport you where you didn't plan to go. Scent of juniper wafting from your in-laws' hedge while visiting their mountain home. You recall gin is made from juniper berries, which reminds you of sloe gin, and then you remember the smell of his breath. The accidental scrape of fingernail against a crisp white linen tablecloth elicits synaptic electricity, a snap. And suddenly, it's your fingernails scraping the bedsheet, clawing the dark, trying to escape. Careless whisper plays on the car radio, and as much as you love George Michael, you change the station. This song, a painful reminder of that empty bottle of sleeping pills and the belief you're never going to dance again. But there will be many days when happiness persists. The wonder in your son's eyes meeting his twin baby sisters, how he slips into that big brother role in an instant, picking up a baby bottle to help with the feeding, and you kiss his tiny blonde head. The cleverness of two little girls, the night they move a mattress into the hallway outside your bedroom, perhaps to be closer to you, perhaps to prove that they can. You trip over the mess, ready to scold them, but their giggles become contagious and you can't help but join them in the laughter. There will be home runs, blue ribbons, birthdays, family reunions, weddings and graduations, school plays, prom dresses, soccer games, old friends, new friends, celebrations, new jobs, new houses, promotions, new dreams, new life, new loves. And through it all, you will rediscover yourself, your purpose, your essence, your sexuality, and finally realize how beautiful you are, how strong you always have been, and how to accept love from a man who never once asked what you were wearing.
Shawn, that is amazing.
So several years ago, I was invited to be part of a Love Jones poetry slam in Sacramento. And so in keeping with that theme of learning to love again, I thought one of these poems might be fun to share from that night. This is called All It Took. Love, you know, the real stuff, organic, good for us, mind, body, and soul love, make us want to be a better person love, meant to last till the day we die love. So I wondered if it would ever come along, if I'd be able to recognize it from all the pickup lines and phone calls that never materialize and the insecure intentions and proclamations, if I'd be able to distinguish it from all the times I thought I was in love, but realized it was for all the wrong reasons. I wondered if love would somehow wake me up, slap me like a dirty martini thrown in my face, screaming, "Girlfriend, this is it. Now you better not let this one get away," waving her huge pink flag covered with hearts and roses while Lionel Richie sings Endless Love in the background. No, that's not quite the way it went down. You see, all it took was that first look, the one where your eyes bore a hole straight through the center of my soul. All it took was that moment our fingertips first touched, the current of your creative electric blue practically jolted me out of my red shoes. All it took was our first kiss, sling shooting me to the moon, bouncing me off its orbit, straight back into your arms, me still feeling weightless, blissfully floating. All it took was the minute your tongue introduced himself to my mouth, flicking like the seconds ticking of an Olympic stopwatch, me awaiting a chance to take the baton, crossing our pillow top finish line together. All it took was that morning, watching you sleep, as the sunlit particles of dust danced above you, my fingertips grazing your beard, knowing this one's special. All it took was for you not telling me I was good enough, but for day after day actually making me believe it. Wow, you really took me by surprise. And all it took was you being you, for me to fall completely, madly, happily in love. It's nice to hear a little clapping. Thanks for that. It really helps. So you know, this believing you're good enough isn't so easy to come by. And I have struggled with depression for most of my life. And antidepressants are not necessarily the best solution, especially when you've taken them for over 15 years and not always under a doctor's supervision. So this next poem is about my struggle to finally get off Prozac. And I have to say, I haven't read this poem in a long time. And the last time I read it was in Sacramento when I was doing a reading with Matthew Brower. And it was such a fun reading, and I can't believe that he's here tonight. So it's really good to see him. So that was a nice surprise. Okay. Prescribed addiction. The amber vial sits patiently, waiting for me, teasing me from the sink's edge. 3 turquoise capsules, pretty little pulvules, provoke me at dawn, as the Colgate froth from my mouth makes me appear crazy, insane, mad, unbalanced, out of sync, confused. I'm convinced my toothbrush has joined in this conspiracy, along with the mirror, fogged just enough to race my brow quicker than tweezers. You're not thinking clearly. You're not processing properly. These problems you create are all in your head. Choose, just choose to be happy. Swallow. It's been 88 days. It's not like I've been counting, but the last time I tried this, I only managed to make it 62. And that was years ago. Spring is in the air and the sun has been warm on my face, casting shadows difficult to escape. I'm not sure if this is the right path to take. Sleepless nights are more common, but when I sleep and dream, I swear it's in color. I know. Experts claim that it's not possible, but I swear it's true. My muse, she visits more often now. I missed her. I didn't realize how much until now. I find myself crying more easily at movies, poetry readings, and birthday parties, but they're honest tears, unrestricted, unabashed, and seem to be less salty. And I laugh, often during inappropriate moments, I confess, my own naughty sense of humor taking charge. Do you know that feeling just before laughter turns to tears? I hope you do. I fear society and all its judgment no longer gives us permission to go there. Sometimes you have to just let yourself loose. I like to think it's how we let our soul dance. Those pills, they're still sitting there. The steam has disappeared and I can see them clearly now, still taunting me. Today, their pull is strong, magnetic, and I'm feeling like an old rusty nail without a hammer. The past few days have been darker and more sporadic than I can recall. I know the voyage to the bottom is a short one, and my baggage has arrived well before me. It's circling on that carousel over there. No one will claim it or turn it in, fearful it may explode. I fear it may implode. I've witnessed the signs. But I keep resisting the urge to take off my shoes, remove my belt, and pack everything neatly into 3-ounce bottles in a Ziploc bag. All I really want to do is stop being numb. All I really want is to go home, to me.
Beautiful.
It really is.
So I'm going to pivot one more time and leave you with a new lighthearted poem. It's called No Binoculars Needed. I wake to the sound of an incoming text, breaking through my do not disturb as only family contacts can. This morning's urgent 5 a.m. news, my son informing me my Mother's Day gift is a bit delayed. He relays this to me 10 days after the holiday has already passed. So I guess that part was delayed too. But I'm not the slightest bit upset. But now I'm curious. He obviously knows me very well. So an hour later, another text to prevent me from exploding from anticipation. Turns out this surprise gift was a pre-order. So he sends me a Kickstarter video, which opens with a lonely old man running around his yard, trying desperately to capture his favorite feathered friends with his Kodak. Blurry image after blurry image tossed into the trash. His neighbor teases him with bird calls just to watch him run around the yard in search of the new mystery bird. I can't help but wonder, is this how my son sees me? Have I gone from young ornithophobe to crazy old bird lady? Perhaps. When the kids were little, I would take them to the giant aviary at the zoo, waiting safely by the exit as they fed parrots and cockatiels nectar from a tiny paper cup, while my fear of anything with wings maintained its stronghold. But an empty nest and a little Oregon junco changed all that. So come November, my bird buddy will arrive in the mail, a high-tech bird feeder with a built-in camera to send bird ID and video straight to my phone. While I stay comfy and cozy inside, no binoculars needed. Now where's that coupon for more birdseed?
Thank you, Shawn Aveningo-Sanders. Fantastic.
Wonderful. Just
Thanks.
wonderful.
Thanks again, Christopher and Morgan, and thank you all for coming and listening and sharing this very intimate space with me. I'm a big believer that when we share our stories, we can build a more compassionate world. Namaste.
Yeah. I agree with you, Shawn, and I want people to know that Shawn has shared and I reshared in the chat information on how to order her book. There's a coupon code there to save 25% on the book. And there's also an event happening on Saturday. I know the information is there in the chat, Shawn, but do you want to say anything about your event that's happening this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Once a month on the second Saturday, we do what's called the Poetry Box Live. And it's a Zoom poetry series for now. And we're going to have 3 fabulous poets this Saturday, local poet Sue Fagalde-Lick, Washington poet Sherry Rind, and also from New Jersey, Michelle Lerner. And you can find all the details on the website link. Then I'll post it again in the chat in a little while.
Great, thank you. And I want to let folks know that if you're not paying live attention to the chat, that's fine. If there's any information that was put there and you've missed it, I'll be sending a follow-up email to everyone who got the Zoom link for tonight with those links and other reminders sometime within the next week, including a link to the recording for tonight's reading if any of you want to see it again or share it with friends. So really happy that everyone is here, but yeah, don't worry about missing something in the chat. We'll make sure you get all the information that you need about these great writers that you're hearing from tonight. And remember that we are inviting everyone, whether they're reading in the open mic or not, to share information there in the chat. So if you have a book, or I know there are some of our listeners out there who are really great poets as well, if you would like to share information about what you've got going on or what you have forthcoming, we really think that's one of the reasons why this open mic exists, so please don't be shy about doing that. And so we are going to return now to some additional open mic readers, and we're going to begin with Jennifer Pratt-Walter. Really glad that Jennifer is here. Are you ready, Jennifer?
I am. Thank you so much. I was a late arrival, but I'm very happy to see all of you. And I just feel like I'm at such a friendly party when we're on Zoom together. So thanks, all of you. If you've heard me read before, you'll know that my poetry tends to be short. And so this one is too. It's called Star Holder. We used to be what held the light up in the silk sky. Star glue, moon candlers, drinkers of thoughts. We walked 2 paths in the same garden. Come, let us again be each other's shoulder to press our tears upon. Each tear a star in need of a night with a comforting sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
That is lovely. Thank you.
Jennifer has a new book. I believe it's called 52 Sundays. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I can send you to Vintage Books up in the Heights in Vancouver, or if you're interested in one, I can send you one directly. So I'll put my email in the chat if anyone wants to talk more about it. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. I really like the book, and I hope that hope you sell a ton of copies.
Oh, yeah, maybe someday.
And then let's support our local independent booksellers, and go over there to Vintage Books and pick up a copy. There are books by some of the other people here over there as well, and a really good poetry section at Vintage Books. So okay, our next reader is going to be Michaela Gallup. Welcome back to Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, Michaela.
Thank you. All right. This is called Lifelines. Addiction is a word I have to sit with like soap on my tongue until I blow bubbles when I breathe, until I grow comfortable with the taste of lie and lies and lemongrass. These suds spill past my lips and crumble like salt when they turn to swallow my footprints. I am waist deep in the will that I wash with, and bitter when the brine breaks over my newly scrubbed skin. All my lifelines are just giving me rope burn for the saline to sting. Sometimes I am scared of how much of me must be hollowed out in order to float. But I keep rinsing my teeth with salt water until I can tell the sink from the ocean when I spit.
Thank you.
Amazing. Very poetic. Very strong.
And I'm confident that our next reader is reading with us for the first time. He is zooming in from New Jersey. Please give a warm Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic welcome to Chris Bogart. Thank you, Chris, for being with us tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm going to be reading from a book that Shawn published. It's called The Eater of Dreams. And this is a poem about that I really like reading, about the first person to die in Iraq as a soldier. And he was in his early 20s. He was a Marine. His name was Jose Antonio Gutierrez, and he was a Marine Lance Corporal. He was the first person to die in Iraq, and he was given his citizenship. He was originally from Guatemala, only after he died. It's called A Half-Eaten Dream, and this is from his own poetry. I come from far away where the angels live in misery, dress themselves in filth, and eat dreams. And this is the poem. His name was Tonio. He was one of 120,000 homeless children in Guatemala, El Polvo de la Tierra, the dust of the earth. When he was 8, unlike many others, he was a survivor. His name was Tonio. He did what he had to. He stole bicycles. He sold shoe glue. He begged in dusty streets in Guatemala. From the dust of those streets, he fashioned dreams. His name was Tonio. He wrote poems. He traveled 3,000 miles by foot, by rubber, and by rail. He came to our border at 22, said he was 16. He had to. He had dreams. His name was Tonio. He attended high school in California, lived with foster parents. You're going to be proud of me, he said. I have dreams. Everyone is going to remember who I am. My name is Tonio. After high school, he enlisted in the Marines. He became a green card soldier. Like the 38,000 other Central American men who wear the American uniform to fight, to belong, to survive. His name was Tonio. He was a child of the street, El Polvo de la Tierra, so he wanted to fight for the dust of the earth of Iraq. I'll give my life if I have to. He had to. He was killed by friendly fire a few hours after landing in Iraq. He was the war's first fatality. He died for dreams that do not die. He died an American. His name was Tonio.
That was beautiful, Chris. Really hope that you'll include the link to how people can get that book. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll pass that on as well to folks in that follow-up email. And now we're going to hear from Susan Coltrab McQuinn, who is coming to us live from Minnesota. So welcome to Ghost Town Poetry, Susan.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks everybody for including me. This evening, I'm going to read a poem from my forthcoming chapbook, What We Bring Home, to be published by the Poetry Box this fall. I'm very excited about it, and thank you, Shawn, for your enthusiasm about it as well. The poems in the chapbook are inspired by people and situations I encountered first in the Philippines as a Peace Corps volunteer years ago, and more recently in travels to Southeast Asia. The poems explore questions of what it means to travel, what it means to go to another place, what we learn about ourselves and other people. The poem I'll read tonight is entitled Behind Bangkok Streets, and it is a reflection on how little we sometimes know about those places that are amongst our favorite to visit. Behind Bangkok Streets. Monks sit cross-legged, patient, saffron bright against gray cement, gray doors, gray dust. People step around them, laugh and shout on cell phones or greet friends passing by. Thousands whiz past on motorbikes, weave in and out between cars, past cluttered markets, tourist shops. They race each other to work below gleaming skyscrapers and watchful electronic eyes. Tourists flow with the crowds, eager to see the Grand Palace, Golden Buddha, floating markets. They yearn to buy Thai art and silk, to sample spicy pork, roast duck, other delicacies competing to please. Down one dark alley, behind loud city streets, a journalist blogs at her screen. She listens for footsteps as she writes of abuse in a military junta's regime. Few will dare share her story, and tourists seldom ask why. In this city of street food, with its royal temple delights, the news is censored, critics arrested in the night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for being here and thanks for sharing. Next, we're going to hear from Brian Franco, who is zooming in all the way from Maine. Brian, can you hear us? Are you still with us?
I can.
Right
Hello,
on.
everyone.
Welcome to Ghost Town.
Hi. Bear with me for 2 seconds while I pull this up. Where is it? Okay. Hold on, that's the wrong thing. Where was it? Okay, the first poem is called Daisy. She loves me not. What is it about a daisy that makes it the perfect flower for a poem? Errant wildflower that climbed out of the weed gutter and found a place in society as a garden staple. The daisy is the girl next door of the flower world. The pretty smile that won't need braces. The cheerleader who never became a mean girl. The valedictorian of Mother's Day's bouquets when roses seem like telling mom you're marrying someone who's more concerned with having perfect petals than providing nectar to honeybees. She loves me not, she loves me. The next poem is called How to Apply a Tourniquet to a Tomato. Quote poet Christopher George from his poem Traps. You snapped me eating a tomato as if delivering your heart, as if devouring your heart. But what if I were eating a turkey heart at Thanksgiving supper with Auntie Lillian's famous mashed sweet potatoes and English peas, And what if I were eating fried chicken hearts with a side of cheese grits and fresh cooked turnip greens at Neighbor's Fried Chicken in Tillman's Corner, Alabama? My problem is that you devoured my heart the first time you said I love you, after I'd been dumbstruck every time I wanted to say it to you. You gave my vocal cords permission to hire a skywriter to let the world know how I feel when I see you rounding the corner or when I hear your voice on all the voicemails I have saved on my cell phone. Your love has devoured my soul in the most unobtrusive, selfless manner. Somehow, whenever you take a quick bite, my soul regenerates itself into something altogether new, waiting to devour yours, like that tomato. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, right on. Thank you so much for being here, Brian, and for zooming in from the East Coast. Much appreciated. Really dig that background too. That's cool.
You're
And right on. Cool. Next, we're going to hear from Mary Carlo. Mary, you are up. Welcome
Hello,
to Go.
everybody. For many years, archaeologists and geneticists were searching for what they believed was that point of origin when we first crossed over from Homo erectus and Neanderthalis and Homo antecessor and other hominids into what we all are now, Homo sapien, which translates from the Latin to wise man. There's some irony in there from time to time on this planet. And then they believed around early fall of 2019 that they had found the source, this location. I did, before the pandemic, was able to read this poem in a few different locations here in poetry groups in Colorado. And it's called Zambezi, Mitogenome Shared. I am from Botswana, so are you. Similarity, likeness, divergence, earliest known like us. South of the Zambezi River we rose to find all the ways to survive, to struggle, travel far, to thrive. Those mitogenomes shared, our lineage woven, like a fine streaming silvery ripple of the Zambezi during the first rains of November. As close kinship would allow, our tree, refining and defining, stretching then beyond the river's widening sandy shores, banks where we sat, observing this grandeur, this domain, under many Cape fig trees, the massive Nato mahogany, the arching African ebony, and those relished wild date palms, admiring the ripe white ground orchids and abundant flame lilies all afternoon. As far as this jeweled blue and green globe would allow, sure, we dispersed, maybe 160,000 years ago, far beyond the lost massive lake and our abundant vegetation, where we welcome the seasons of rainfall, ready to explore the greening plains on our long, long path, making each our homeland beyond those steps that were boldly embraced that first time. We made our way, we carried our tools, we held our stories close, Earth's abundant gifts to us on loan, stepping foot into this great unknown. We stayed far away from the hippopotamus. We had our guides with senses keen, learned to make big, deep sounds as groups of lions raised their sleepy heads from some long nap in sunlit fields. Never near the crocodiles, with leg muscles tensed and ready open jaws, and stood near enough to elephant families when we each sensed that shared no harm to this family gaze. We moved on to the soggy Baratosi, waiting the rainy season through while the floodplain grew 25 kilometers, and then shrank to serve our catfish and bull shark fishing needs, short spears at the ready, spent time in admiration of the cheetah's burst of power as she ran with purpose, thick tail supporting her intention. Egret, hummers, eagle, heron, pelicans, birds beyond measure sang to our pleasure, while some of us wove baskets from the moist golden reeds beside the muddy bank of the Zambezi. We reached Bertoka Gorge, took time to turn the deep purple-hued fallen tree into a carved-out vessel, our first canoe. As others strung long, broad-leafed reeds in and out of slim branches, designing the first raft, and we raced daringly across the swift flow, laughter ringing out, no hurry at all. South of the Zambezi, we rose. Earliest known like us. I am from Botswana, so are you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing. Next, we're going to hear from Bill Erickson. Bill, welcome to the Ghost Town stage, Zoom edition.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Chris, and thank you to everybody. This is super great. So I'm going to make you guys bear with me because this one's really fresh. Kind of a short little prosy piece, pretty heavily influenced by a little bit over 15 years in the trade, which you guys will probably pick up. So yeah, bear with me as I stumble and kaflux through it. I think I'm going to call it perfectly sliced open, but I'm not sure. When cutting the glass, use the hand with which you typically point through windows, and let the things your neighbors have decide the pressure. If you imagine the view beforehand, the window will never be right. You will forever be staring miles and miles into your last idea, its edges bleeding into your walls, into your ceiling, down into your fingertips, your touch too sharp to do anything but open the curtains. Cut as if the glass held the only thing you ever wanted just beneath it. Like carving your face from a cloudy morning, how you'd punch holes for the sun to see through your eyes. Without hands, there is no fear in touching. Without eyes, no worry of becoming lost. You are the clearest, most perfect window now. Everything is on the outside of you. Thank you.
Absolutely love that. And yeah, if that's like rough cut, I want to hear the final version for sure. Much appreciated, Bill. It's really good to see you again, and I hope you keep coming back. Next, we're going to hear from one of all of our favorite people, Jim Martin. Jim, are you with us?
We love you, Jim.
We love you, Jim. And we hope we can hear you and see you tonight. I thought he was here. Maybe we lost him. Does anybody see him?
Jim's here, but
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, yay.
I'm old, I forget. I've got a poem right now. Its title is Our View. It started years ago when I was working up in on the Salmon River, just west of Mount Hood. And there are other streams that flow into it. And when they flow into it, they'll maintain two separate currents for quite some distance, and then they begin to mingle. And eventually, further downstream, they're just one current flowing. And so that got me thinking. And 3 years ago, I guess, okay, I'd better say something about this and write. Our view. They bubble and gurgle, splash over the rocks in their beds, act out unrestrained joy of their journey to the sea. Two streams, they race along a slope on the mountain where they condensed from fluffy flying clouds as they enveloped its pointed top. In time, they meet, tentative, aware they may lose their physical integrity in a larger stream now, yet feel their own identity as they travel together side by side through distinct but close streams in a river. Running deep and strong now, they begin to share. Mixed where they are joined in time, they are no longer distinct. They flow as one river, manage its course, anticipate the sea. We met, spoke, contemplated, responded. In time, when we spoke, the other knew, both living the thought and our view, our mind, from a great height now, sees what is before it and understands. Thank you.
Beautiful, Jim. Thank you so much. So glad to see you. And next we're going to hear from Susan Morse.
Hello, thank you. Thanks, Chris and Morgan, for hosting this, and Shawn for a really brave reading. Very nice. I guess this poem's going to follow a little bit one of Susan Coultrap's poems. It's a recent one I wrote about my sister, who's a world traveler. She's kind of let traveling become her whole life, and she's traveled to all 7 continents. So she's always telling me that, reminding me, and these were some of the observations I don't know, I was kind of thinking about for people who travel every place and what they might see or not see in their travels. So it's called Touring in a Time of Constellations. Imagine your life cupped within the night sky, pressed and carefully labeled, little side bits of information in the margins, hitchhiker's notes, 12 ungainly volumes of interplanetary travel. After 2 divorces, no children, and not enough maps to contain your discontent. All the while, astronomers cautioning about black holes. For the last 40 years, nothing besides travel. Slowly wheeling outward to every foreign country, every continent, galaxies filled, birds and oceans and insects captured in stilled photographs, deserts and rainforests and cold, lonely moonscapes, crowded city bazaars, temples of worship crumbling, history lessons and seasons encroaching, eagerly swallowed, for one can never really know another's country, another's sky. But you tried. Hijabs and yarmulkes, the veiled tongues you never learned, the time capsules you never sealed, people eager for your money, American you, smiling, also had it, your face hidden by dark glasses, a drink in hand like the other strangers you connected with for a short while, the line of you tourists being led, paid guides, burning through truncated news flashes, blown off outer layers so you wouldn't stumble, so that you knew where you were going, who you were meeting, and how to count the foreign currency correctly, to seek change in a life floating within your world of 7 continents, the stars steering round you, every single one revisited. Each time you hoped to ignite sparks, to escape the slow burn and death of the other nebulae, leaving only your hot, dense core to cool over eons. Thank you.
Yeah, you even put Ian in there.
Thank you.
Great piece, Susan. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing. Next, we're going to hear from Bethany Lee. Bethany. Are you still with us? Yes, yay.
I was so excited about tonight. I forgot to RSVP, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be on the list of readers. I just have a short little piece to share tonight. It's called Unqualified Goddess. If I had the power to shift the day of your death, the world would be full of liabed sages, and the tulips would still be blooming in December, heavy under the weight of snow-filled cups, the stems bent and twisted, as if in the grasp of a child who wouldn't let go. Time would stop at twilight. Whatever the day had been, the joy, the pain, all of it would freeze as I remembered my power, and dawn would never come again. I cannot be trusted to decide on the proper moment for immutability. I fear and welcome the monster of change, what it gives and what it devours. I cannot be trusted with an immortal's choice.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Glad we got you in there, and yeah, we're fairly flexible, I'd say, with people who pop on and want to read. So, you know, we're just happy to see everybody. Happy to share the magic and the poetry medicine. So I was going to read a poem next, but it looks like I have to get my cord or my computer's going to die. So I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Christopher, and let you introduce.
I'll introduce you a little later on then. How's that sound? I'll
right on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'd love to hear your stuff a little bit later. And so next we're going to hear from a friend of the series, really great reader, Nathan Tompkins. Thanks for being here tonight, Nathan.
Thank you for having us. You can hear me? Okay,
What?
great.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. This piece is called Jenny. It was published in Quail Bell magazine a few months ago. You sit on the bottom of a black pool, waiting, always waiting for another companion to call, and drink tea and whiskey to warm the bones against the coolness of the water. Your white eyes follow the circle of light to the surface 6 fathoms up, longing for some conversation more stimulating than the lives of fish. But the most you hear are the falls eroding the rocks at the edge of your lair. Once your lovers were kings and slaves. They used to come by more often, their wrists and ankles bound by leather cords, their mouths always locked shut as you reached for them and smiled. But time, the old master key, always forced them open as your white lips unveiled algae-painted teeth, and you kissed, feeling their life struggles between your legs, their last breaths beating against your tongue, but they don't always come to visit anymore. Now, your floor only eats the bones of lost children. And you hear something hit the surface, and you look up towards the distant border between water and sky and smile, hungry, horny, lonely, half afraid it was just another rock tossed in. But the battle is too dear, too panicked, and you extend one scaly arm green with underwater vegetation and age. Your bony claws bind a flailing ankle and yank. Your lover prey kicks and hits, struggling to shatter your grip, but you have millennia of experience, the strength of a once god. And still their body pushes and pulls against yours, their face twisting against your frigid water breath. And soon you love for a few minutes, you eat for a few moments, and your loneliness falls away, forgotten in the asynchronous dance of life, sex, and death. And you lie back on the mud floor, watching the body float in the circle of light, piercing the murky depths, feeding the salmon. But you know that before too long, you'll be sitting there, always looking up to the light, waiting, just waiting for your next lover to call and chat with you over a cup of tea and whiskey to warm the bones against the cold water. Waiting, always waiting. They don't come as often as they used to. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. And our next reader is Ian Caton. Welcome back to Ghost Town, Ian.
Hey, thanks everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay, this is called Oregon to Tokyo. Facebook wants to connect Oregon and Tokyo with a fiber optic cable, and nobody seems unnerved. It's only fitting, seeing as how oceanic debris from the nuclear catastrophe at Fukushima washed upon our rocky shores. But why Oregon? Why not the Bay Area? Santa Cruz, maybe, because, you know, California. Seems only fitting for this enervating umbilical cord to extend from Mother Silicon to Cyber Tokyo, past neon islands of floating trash, poisoning schools of plastic fish, and choking off coral reefs, now starved of oxygen, turning white as bone, now oversaturated in carbon, in warming waters that nobody seems to know what to do about. No team of environmental scientists, no business leaders or futurists who can influence this cycle of consumption and expansion, now excrement, now devour and buffet, now. Past bloody shark carcasses, now missing dorsal fins and drowning in salt water, now floating in a bowl of soup from some Michelin-rated restaurant. A buffet of tiger prawns and pink tuna rolls, now washed away in tides of surf. But they cannot stop, will not stop, crying, China, 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 to curb emissions and reduce smokestacks that form horizon, skyline, city line. Ocean liners pumping poisoned clouds of black death overhead, above the Athabasca oil sands in Alberta, past blown off tops of mountains in the Appalachians, now strip mining to discover treasures of extinction. But Facebook wants to connect Tokyo with Oregon, utilizing 5,000 miles of fiber optic cables so hammerhead sharks can write love poems to seals or sea turtles, or surfers on the lookout for Leviathan, while octopus text 8 messages at once to family members, swallowed whole, living now by candlelight in the stomach of a whale.
Thank you, Ian.
Love that ending.
Great stuff. Our next reader is going to be one of the featured readers at the Poetry Box Live reading that's happening on Zoom this weekend. Please welcome Sue Lick.
Hi. So 8 messages in one. Something's going to stick in my head. That's great. Okay, I'm just going to offer a rant that came out of me yesterday, titled, "You Probably Shouldn't Ask." It's the kind of day that starts late because you were trying to find the end of a dream where you were lost and somehow had a tattooed map of Spain on your chest and could hear your dead lover's voice, but the farther you ran, the more you were lost, and when the dog finally woke you up, out of hunger more than love, your feet screamed with plantar fasciitis, the scale said you were even fatter now, so fat you might as well eat pancakes, but you were out of milk, so you ate toast with artificial butter spread that probably will give you cancer if you don't already have it, like your dead mother, rest her soul. It's the kind of day where your favorite blouse is wrinkled and you don't have time to iron, where you can't find your keys because you left them hanging on the door where any robber or rapist could let himself in, and then the car's tire light goes on. You have an impending flat or just need air, but you drive because you don't have time to kneel in a service station parking lot trying to figure out how to operate the hose, and you just pray it's okay as you dodge cars all going too fast, cutting each other off. It's the kind of day where everything you do goes into a black hole of rejection, so you wonder, why bother? And you've got to get out of there, so you take yourself to lunch, where the servers give you the evil eye because you're a party of 1 at a 4-top, and there's not enough ice in your tea,
The chicken tastes like breaded mush. The French fries are undercooked, and you shouldn't be eating them anyway, but you do. You swallow every single one, leaving nothing but salt and a pickle. And when you stop in the restroom, spread paper on the damp toilet and sit. Someone slams open the door, exposing you and your ass to the world, and you scream and they leave, and then the toilet doesn't flush. It's the kind of day where you don't see the sticker attached to your new sweater until you take it off that night so everyone can see you wear an extra large, as if they couldn't tell from all the fries. But at least the tires weren't flat, just low. Your keys hang safely on the hook. You didn't get raped or robbed or fired. You've got milk for pancakes now, and tonight you have another chance to follow the tattooed map of Spain to the land of dead lovers and crispy fries. Thank you.
Great, Sue.
Oh man, I love that, Sue. That was so fun.
That was my day.
We've all had those days.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and co-host, Morgan Paige, and also the author of a great book called Lick the Psychic that you should check out. Hi, Morgan. Let's hear one of your poems.
Hi, everybody. Yes, thank you. Gosh, how do I follow that? That day, wow. I love poetry that makes me smile and makes me laugh. I also love poetry that makes me cry. Yes, I'd love to share an older piece tonight. I read a few today that I was thinking about sharing, but this one was just recently published in the spring edition of Voice Catcher. And so I'd love to share the first part to give you a little teaser so that you'll go to Voice Catcher and check out all of the beautiful art and poetry and prose on voicecatcher.org. And yeah, this poem is called Rome, and I will read part 1. I close my eyes. Take a trip along your palm with my flower-tipped fingers, slowly, leisurely, decoratively. These acute nerve endings position themselves bit by bit along the microcosm of your universe, lifelines as canyons. These mounts and plains, rough and traveled, ridged and gnarled, beaten by the wind and the work. I wonder, how strong are your carpal bones? How flexible your wrist? How tactile your feedback? Which hand is dominant? Does your appendage grasp or liberate? Does it frisk or manipulate? Is it sweet to the taste or fumigated? My perennial limbs are inquisitive, tameless, arched into a longitudinal dendritic thirst of an intrinsic topography. I roam this terrain deliberately. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Wow. Just wow.
The wonderful world of Zoom. I just got booted off of my own reading. I'm sorry that I didn't hear the whole poem, Morgan, but I guess that gives me a reason to go to Voice Catcher. And I want people to know that I've loved and been aware of Voice Catcher for years. It's a great organization, great. They publish so many women and so many great women on, involved with the publication. So please go to Voice Catcher. Please support it and submit your work. Thank you, Morgan. Sorry that I was gone for a second.
No, that's okay.
But as I do when these things happen, I will blame it on Jeff Bezos. Somehow it's his fault. I know it. So.
We'll blame him. And I would still like to introduce my co-host, my wonderful and amazing Christopher Luna. I think you would like to read a poem as well, right, Chris?
I would, thank you. And here's hoping that Jeff Bezos will let me read the entire poem to you. This is a poem that I have been working on for a little while, but this is sort of the latest version of it. And it has a long title. I like to, I like titles and long titles and thinking about titles, but I will say, I'm not sure whether this title is going to stay, but this is the title for now. Dedicated to the assholes for whom shooting bald eagles is their idea of a good time. Eagle tender, wounded, defeated, for a moment of respite from the blood spilled on his behalf. A sacrifice never predisposed to cruelty and self-fulfilling prophecy. Envision freedom lived, not assumed. What do you see? Who's allowed to exist in your version? If one falls, so do the rest, though not in equal measure. The mighty struggle as apathetic, traitorous thugs reap unending reward for their transgressions. Nothing civil about this war, everything we might hope to stand for imperiled on the brink of extinction. An enemy of democracy has weaponized the deplorable rubes in his death cult. White supremacists easy to incite, more than happy to follow orders from this piece of shit whose lack of leadership skills and disdain for democracy, liberty, and equality does nothing to lessen their devotion. Enemy of the state whose cowardice and narcissism only fuels their bigoted sense of superiority. An army of fools willing to commit violence to prove that they too are entitled to have it all. While others silently cheer each new horror from the comfort of their couches, unmoved by the crimes of the street thugs who happen to be on their side. And enabler politicians briefly pretend to be dismayed by the attack on our nation's capital before falling back in line. The only option for self-interested fools living a fear-based survivalist fantasy, willing to lie and lie and lie, deny, 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 to protect a hateful vision of a world that never did and never will exist. I'd like to dedicate that to Sue. I guess that's what you shouldn't have asked me about yesterday.
Ooh, wow. Fantastic.
Let's hear it for Ghost Town, where puppies and rants are welcome. You know,
Yes.
puppies to Ghost Town. Thank you, Morgan, and thank you to Shawn and all of the other great readers and the people that came to listen, many of whom, as I said earlier, are great poets in their own right. Very cool that there are poetry readings in existence where people are actually people who are quite qualified are happy to be audience. We need audience, and we appreciate all of you. We appreciate all you folks who zoomed in from all over the country. Please support the Poetry Box and the Poeming Pigeon and all of these poets that you've heard from tonight. I mean, really, the best way to support the poets that you like is to show up. And one way to show up is to buy those books. So I hope that you'll buy lots of books. We heard lots of great stuff that happens to be in books, either ready to go or soon forthcoming. So yeah, I thank you all for being here. And I want to just give you, you are going to get that follow-up email, but I want to just give you the date for our next reading is July 8th. And our reader will be another Portland area writer, Andrea Hollander. So I hope that you'll be able to join us for that. I can say definitively that that July's reading will also be on Zoom, and stay tuned to find out whether the same goes for August or not. We're sort of, playing it by ear like a lot of America is right now, but I love you all, and I'm glad that you were able to be here with us tonight. It was really a wonderful evening of poetry. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We so appreciate you, Christopher and Morgan. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
that
much,
great
Shawn, for a phenomenal reading.
Tony, Luna, wherever you are.
Tony's here.
Tell her we said hi.
Yes, I will let her know.
Love you, Tony.
I gotta send her an email.
Bye, everybody.
You, good night. Thank you.
I wanted to say, when you compared me with Bruce,
Yeah.
I want to say, go to your room for 15 minutes, sit down and think about it. And then you can come back. But I'm holding my phone with one hand and pushing the cord in with the other to keep it charged. And I couldn't say anything.
I'm trying to join the family.
Yes, I want Chris to, it looks like has said goodnight already, and everyone else to know that along with puppies and rants, beards will always be welcome at Ghost Town Poetry. Yes, facial hair is acceptable. Indeed, indeed.
Not to me, though. I already have a problem.
Women, come on, bring it on. Come on, ladies.
Facial hair, small children, you know,
kittens,
backgrounds from the great artists of our time, you know, all that stuff is cool. We like it all. Cats, yeah. Cats coming around, everything. It's all good. This is an all good poetry reading. Yeah, for sure.
Up until the moment I read, I had crows just going nuts outside the window.
I heard a few crows during your reading. There was a nice.
Tony would have loved it.
You say pros or crows?
Yeah, yeah.
Crows.
They wanted to participate.
Yeah.
I think there are crows talking in verse.
I love crows. I have one that misses me every morning.
Hey, Shawn. Shawn, good night. Since a few people have stuck around, what are the next like 2 or 3 titles from your press that people should be looking out for? What's coming up?
Let's see, what is coming up? Well, we have a new book coming from Carolyn Martin called The Catalog of Small Contentments. That's actually on pre-order right now.
Cool.
We also have a book called The Fog by Mary Florio. That's for pre-order right now. There's a wonderful new book that's available right now called Protection. That's Michelle Lerner, and she's going to be reading for us this weekend. And it's a really wonderful story of being a mother of a transgender child and that journey going through that with the child and supporting the child. So it's really a moving book. So we've got lots of great things coming. So, and anybody can sign up for our newsletter at thepoetrybox.com, and you'll find out about all the books every month.
Good, and I was telling some people before you joined how much I liked Poeming Pigeon. What's the next issue of the Poeming Pigeon, and when is that coming out?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I forgot to say we have a book coming out from Christopher Luna in December of him and Angelo. So I forgot to mention that. Silly me. Right, so be looking for that soon. End of the year.
Thank you.
And we also have one from Susan Coltrette McQuinn, so that she's already mentioned. Anyway, and the Poeming Pigeon, our next issue, they're going to be coming out annually every fall. And the next one is From Pandemic to Protest. So it's the whole year of 2020 and all the craziness and everything that happened. And we'll be opening for submissions again in October. And this will be our first unthemed issue. So it's anything goes. So that should be a really fun issue as well.
Wow, you're busy. You're very, very busy lady.
They keep themselves busy. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Shawn. I hope you had a good time.
I had a great time. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Good. Morgan, I'm sorry. Were you about to say something?
No, I just wanted to also say thank you to Shawn for phenomenal reading, and thank everybody. And I love you all, and I'll see you soon, I hope, in person or in the virtual world. So.
Okay, love you too, Morgan. You will.
You too.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for being here.
Everything's going blank, 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 blank.
They're disappearing.
Thank you very much, everybody who's left. This was a good night.
It was indeed. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.